Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am finally doing my review and 3D look on the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. You guys seriously have been requesting for me to review and do my 3D looks on the Norvina palette for the longest time now. Literally, this palette and Soft Glam has been my most requested palette to do a review and 3 looks on, like, period. I've never received so many requests for a palette before, and you guys just really wanted it, so I'm finally doing it for you guys. I decided to get the Norvina palette first just because it's more of like a newer launch. I will buy the Soft Glam palette maybe in January, just after like Christmas and everything, and my wallet, you know, can kind of take a break for a little while. So yeah, with that being said, if you guys want to hear my review on this palette and see my 3 looks using one palette, then just continue watching. Okay, so first things first, as always, is product info. So you can get this palette for $42 US, and if you guys live in New Zealand, you can get it off the sephora.co.nz site, and that is 86 New Zealand dollars. You will get 14 shades. It comes with a mirror. It comes in the typical like felt Anastasia packaging. You do get 14 shadows, 7 of them being metallics and 7 of them being satins slash mattes. But you also get the brush as well, which is, I believe, the same brush in all the Anastasia palettes. They look the same to me. On one end, it's like a natural hair blending brush, and on the other end, it's like a synthetic shader brush. I personally would only use the synthetic side, but again, I don't ever use the brushes. I mean, the brush in here is actually not half bad. This side is actually nice, but I always just have my go-to brushes that I always use. So yeah, I mean, let's just jump straight into my review. So Norvina is Anastasia's daughter. I believe they do the company together and they develop the products together, but this is solely Norvina's palette. I believe that her color, like her favorite color, is purple. I think at one point she had purple hair. Like, purple was just her thing, so it's very heavily influenced by her and what she likes, and I guess this would be her perfect palette. My first impressions of this palette and just Anastasia in general, I haven't used too many things from them. I mean, I have the Modern Renaissance, the Subculture, their contour kit, and I've tried their brow wiz, but other than that, I haven't played around too much with the brand. And just from past experience using Modern Renaissance and Subculture, they were like, you know, good palettes, but they weren't palettes that I would pick up all the time. And maybe it's an unpopular opinion, especially with Modern Renaissance. I feel like Modern Renaissance is everybody's holy grail palette, but for me, like, literally, I don't ever pick it up. The only time I picked it up was to film like a video. With that being in the back of my head, I wasn't really expecting too much from the Norvina palette, but then I'm like, it's Norvina's personal favorite palette, you know, it's her palette, it's gotta be good. And just looking at the shadows, I was like, I don't know how many looks I can create with this palette. I feel like there's a lot of medium tones, there's not a lot of dark tones, and I feel like there's a lot of shimmers, but it is a half and half palette. You get 7 shimmers, 7 mattes, and honestly, after playing with this palette and doing my 3 looks, this is my favorite Anastasia palette. Honestly, this could probably go on my top 10 eyeshadow palettes. I already filmed my top 10 eyeshadow palettes, but maybe next year when I do my updated one, I have a feeling this is going to be in it. I am just obsessed with the looks that I created, and I was just genuinely surprised. This is still Anastasia's formula, but for some reason with these shadows, they are so much easier to blend out. I feel like Subculture was probably the hardest to blend out. I like the shades in here. I like the formula in this a lot more than the other ones. I feel like the mattes are a lot easier to work with. The mattes are very easy to blend out. The shimmer shadows are just amazing Anastasia formula, similar in other palettes. You do get fallout with Anastasia palettes, there is no doubt about that. I think she did address why you do get a lot of fallout with their formula. I think it has something to do with like the texture. Like when you want to swatch these mattes, like I know swatches don't really mean too much, but if you want to swatch a good matte, you want to swatch the Anastasia ones. They literally are just so soft, and like they are very powdery, like mind you, like you are gonna get a lot of K-cup, but it's very soft and very pigmented. Like You know what I mean? Not many mattes can swatch this nicely, and again, swatches don't really mean too much. When I know a palette has a lot of fallout, I will always do my eyes first anyway, so I can avoid that issue. Like, this issue is very avoidable, you know what I mean? So I don't know why so many people like freaked out about fallout, because you can avoid that, you know? I think all the shades are very cohesive. They work very nicely with each other. I use every single matte in here. The only two shades I didn't use, I believe, is Summer, which is the gold, and Dazzling. You can create so many looks with shimmer shadows. You can use the matte, pop it in the inner corner, and you can use all these shimmer shadows. They're all very wearable, all very usable shadows as well, and I feel like although all of the 3 looks that I created, they all look like it is from the same palette, but they are also very different. Like, the first demo was very pink, the second look was a little bit more red and cranberry, and this look is very purple, and I feel like this look really matches the packaging, and it's very Norvina. Did you guys see my nails? I'm that extra. I like to paint my nails accordingly to my reviews. I was just really surprised. I was surprised by the formula. I was surprised that I liked the color combinations and the looks that I created. I think everything performed very nicely. I am just very well impressed, and I feel like this is what I wanted to feel with the Mono Renaissance. You know what I mean? This is definitely my favorite Anastasia palette. I mean, I like those palettes, like, don't get me wrong, they are good palettes, but they are a lot trickier to work with. I feel like you need a lot more technique and skill to have those palettes. They're not very beginner friendly, especially Subculture with the mattes, but this one is definitely a lot easier to work with. I think you can create multiple looks. You don't even have to create very purple and pinky looks like the ones that I created. You could just take some of these warmer transitions, pop one of these gold, and you could create a very, very warm look, and you're done. So you can create warm neutral looks to pinks, to purples, to cranberries. So that was pretty much all I had to say about the Norvina palette. Now we can move along to the swatches and also the 3 demos. Okay, first I'm gonna start off with the shade Base on my Makeup Collective number 16 brush, and I'm gonna use this shade to do exactly what the name says, to set down my base. This is obviously optional. I know it's a thing now not to set down your base, but honestly I prefer to, so I'm gonna use this shade to set everything down all the way up to my brow bone. I feel like the shadow is actually not like a complete matte. It almost looks like a satin. Next up, I'm taking the shade Love on my Colourpop tapered blending brush, and this is going to be our transition shade. So I'm just looking down into my mirror, and I'm gonna start working that into my crease using windshield wiping motions. And then next, I'm going to be taking the shade Eccentric on my Morphe M433 brush. And I'm going to start focusing this on the outer corner of my eye. I'm going to start creating some depth into my eyes by using a little bit of darker shades just to slowly build that up. So I'm going to keep it quite low. I don't want to overtake all that pink, but I'm going to make sure I bring it into the inner part of my crease. Now I'm going to be taking the shade Passion on my Colourpop E9 brush. And I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing, focusing on the outer edge. But I'm going to focus it a little bit closer to my lash line, a little bit lower. That way we are getting that gradient. And then just going in with my previous brushes, so the Morphe M433, then my tapered blending brush, just to run through everything. And I'm using my Vanity Planet Small Cream Shadow Brush. I'm going to focus most of the product in the inner part of my eye. And we're going to stop in the middle of my lid. And we're going to bring that all the way towards our crease. And then I'm just taking a small paintbrush with some concealer on it. And I'm going to use this to help me to clean up the crease and make it very sharp. Looking down into your mirror will really help you, because when you're looking down, your whole eyelid is flat, there's no creasing, and that will really help you make sure you are getting the most perfect definition. Now we're going to be taking the shade Wild Child on my Makeup Collective number 18 brush, and we're going to use this shade Wet. That right on the center of my lid of the concealer. Quite a lot of chunky glitters in this one. Next we're going to use the shade Dreamer on my Makeup Collective number 4 brush. I'm going to put that right in the inner part of my crease where the concealer is. And I'm using this shade Wet as well. So Dreamer is a little bit more like a metallic shadow. It's not as chunky with glitters in it. But we're gonna mesh Dreamer and Wild Child together. And then again, we're just taking a bit of Passion on my Sigma E25 brush. I'm just gonna dab at the end to blend out Wild Child. You can just dab where they meet and that will do all the work for you, and it will seamlessly blend into each other. Okay, and just for fun, I'm gonna take the NYX Glam Liner in the shade Glam Pink, and I'm gonna run this right up against that crease line just for fun to add a little bit more glitter. I'm going back into the shade Love on my Sigma E55 brush, and I'm gonna run this on my lower lash line from outer to inner corner. Gonna connect it with the shadow on the outer edge near the wing, so everything just looks a little bit more cohesive. And again, going back in with Passion on my Makeup Collective number 7 brush, run this right underneath my bottom waterline. Okay, and for my lower lash line, I'm gonna use the ColourPop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Boots. So this is the completed look for look number 1. For lashes, I am wearing the iconic Lite from House of Lashes, and for my lip color, I did a mixture of Uno Mask and Name Drop from the ColourPop Luxe lipstick line. And every other makeup detail, I'll definitely leave it in the description box like I always do. I am personally obsessed with how this look turned out. I love the glitter. You guys know I love a good half cut crease, so I am definitely loving and living for this look, and I hope you guys are too. Okay, so to get started with look number 2, we're going to start off with the shade Beige on my Makeup Collective number 16 brush, and we're going to use this to set down our concealer. It's going to be exactly the same as the first demo and also as the second demo as well. But I'm going to set down my whole lid all the way up to my brow bone. So now I'm taking the shade Incense on my ColourPop tapered blending brush, and this is going to be our transition shade. I'm just going to put that straight into my crease, looking down into my mirror. You guys know how I like to apply my transition shade. I feel like at this point, I don't really feel like I need to keep explaining it. I'm just taking a clean blending brush just to blend out the edges. Next up, we're using the shade of Volatile on my Morphe M433 brush, and I'm going to place this in the outer corner of my eye. Just using this in circular motions. I want to make that outer portion very deep, so just using a light hand, just dabbing on where I want the product, and slowly blend that towards my transition shade and my inner crease. And I'm just going in with my previous brush, the ColourPop one. And I'm just going back in with that transition shade and just slowly blend everything out. And now I'm taking the shade Passion on my ColourPop E9 brush, and I'm going to focus this right on the outer corner, a lot closer to my lash line. And we're just going to deepen it up a little bit more, add some warmth back to it since this is more of like a burgundy red. I'm also going to take that on my lower lash line with my Sigma E55. I'm just going to use it right underneath my waterline, just from outer to inner corner. And now I'm taking the shade Rose Gold on my Makeup Collective number 18 brush, and I am going to be using this shade Wet, and I'm just going to pack that on the center of my lid. So just around the edges, I'm just going to be patting it. That way it can diffuse into the matte, and this look looks a little bit more softer. Now taking my Colourpop Creme Gel Liner in the shade No Shame. I'm going to use this in my bottom waterline just to finish off the whole smokiness. And lastly, we're going to take a bit of Dreamer, and we're going to use this to highlight our brow bone and also our inner corners. So this is the completed look for look number 2. For lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Lights from House of Lashes. And for my lip pairing, it is the ColourPop Cosmetics Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Aquarius. I love how this look turned out. I had a different vision for it. I was going to use one of the gold shimmer shades, but instead I just wanted to use more of the purples. Since it's the Norvina palette, I really want to stick to purples because that is her color. I love how it turned out. This technique is a technique that I always do. It's a technique that I always fall back on. So to get started with look number 3, we are doing exactly the same step. We're going to use the shade Base on our Makeup Collective number 16 brush, and I'm just going to use this to set down my concealer all the way from my lid up to my brow bone. Next, we're taking the shade Soul on my Colourpop tapered blending brush, and this is going to be our first transition shade. So as always, just looking down into my mirror, I'm going to start placing this into my crease using circular and windshield wiping motions. Now we're taking the shade Passion on my Sigma E25 brush, and I'm going to start packing this on my lid. I'm going to focus most of it really close to my lash line, and then once I have that initial pigment down, I'm going to start slowly bringing it up towards my crease and into the transition shade. And now we'll be taking the shade Drama on my Sigma E55 brush, and I'm going to start packing this right on top of Passion. I'm going to keep most of the product again close to my lash line, and then once we have a little bit of product left on our brush, you want to slowly bring that towards your transition shade. And I am using this shade Wet. So with this eye look, you definitely need to do your eyes first. This Drama shadow has a lot more fallout. I'm just going to pat around the edges, that way there is no harsh lines. We want this to be quite soft. And now I'm taking the shade Celestial on my ring finger, and I'm just going to dab that right on the center of my lid to get most of the product there, and then I'll just blend it towards the outer edges. Going back into the shade Passion on my Sigma E20 brush, I'm going to use the shade on my bottom lash line, just running it right underneath my waterline. I'm just going to mix in a bit of Soul just right on top of Passion, just to make it a little bit more purple. That way the bottom lash line and the shadows on top can look all cohesive. And now for my waterline, I'm going to be using the Colourpop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Exit. This is just a stark white, and I feel like this is really going to open up the eyes and complement the purples really nicely. And this is the completed look for look number 3. For lashes, I am wearing the Boudoir Light from House of Lashes. And for the final lip pairing, I am wearing Stockholm from the NYX Cosmetics Soft Matte Lip Cream range. Okay guys, so this is going to wrap up my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it and it was worth the wait. I just want to thank you guys for always being so patient with me. I know I am very slow to getting the new latest things and uploading them, but 3D my looks really do take a long time. It takes me 3 different days to film them, and it takes me like an hour just to plan the look. Also, just getting products in general, I do not get sent PR. I buy everything with my own money, and I'm not in the best financial place in my life right now. It is hard for me to get things like instantly. Just know that I do try my best to get the stuff when I can, and I do see your comments. I literally read everything, so I do see your requests and I am working on it. Just hopefully one day I can make YouTube my full-time career and I can buy makeup on the spot when I want and review it all the time for you guys. But yeah, without getting too personal, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did find this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up for me. I seriously would appreciate it so much if you did. Comment down below, what do you think of the Norvina palette if you have it? What do you think of the 3 looks? Which look was your favorite? And with that being said, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!